Public restrooms are absolute lawless wastelands where basic human dignity goes to die. You walk in hoping for a quiet moment, but end up facing pure psychological warfare. Today, we are exposing the 55 most absurd, hilarious, and downright unhinged complaints people have actually filed about American public bathrooms. Forget minor messes. We are talking about terrifying stall gaps, phantom flushers, and aggressive eye contact. Time to expose the madness. 1. A massive complaint from international tourists and literally anyone with a pulse is the terrifying gap in American bathroom stalls. People absolutely hate sitting in their most vulnerable state only to make direct, unbroken eye contact with a complete stranger waiting in line outside. It is not a bonding experience. It is a privacy nightmare. Customers constantly leave furious reviews asking why the doors are built like saloon gates. Do you make eye contact or aggressively look away? 2. Service animals are wonderful, but things get weird incredibly fast in a confined space. A terrified man literally called a department store help desk from inside a bathroom stall because he was too scared to come out. Why? Because the guy waiting in line outside his door was casually standing there with a massive, unblinking Doberman. The dog was aggressively sniffing the gap under the door, practically trapping the poor guy in a ceramic prison. He filed a furious complaint, stating that a public restroom is absolutely no place for an intense canine stakeout. 3. Restaurant managers constantly hear complaints about the absolute joke that is one-ply toilet paper. Customers are baffled that a place charging $40 for a steak provides tissue so incredibly thin it is practically transparent. The main complaint is that it forces you to wrap the paper around your hand 50 times just to create a protective barrier. People say it feels like wiping with a ghost. Is saving 3 cents a roll really worth the angry reviews? 4. A huge pet peeve. People rant about online is the push-button sink faucet that dispenses water for exactly 1/4 of a second. Users complain that they have to frantically smash the metal dome with one hand while trying to scrub the other. By the time the soap lathers, the water shuts off, turning basic hygiene into a stressful game of whack-a-mole. People are literally leaving bathrooms with soapy hands out of pure frustration. 5. You might think people want comfort, but a massive unspoken complaint is the horror of sitting on a radiantly warm public toilet seat. People absolutely despise that visceral reminder that a complete stranger was just keeping that exact spot perfectly toasted moments before. While a heated seat at home is pure luxury, getting an intimate transfer of body heat at a busy gas station just makes people want to burn their clothes. Ever felt that instant regret? 6. Shoppers constantly file noise complaints about those deafening jet engine hand dryers. The grievance is not just that they sound like a commercial airplane taking off, but that they do not actually dry anything. People rant that the aggressive wind tunnel just violently pushes dirty water into little ripples across their skin. After standing there losing their hearing for a solid minute, users complain they still have to wipe their damp hands on their jeans anyway. 7. A traumatized office worker submitted an urgent maintenance ticket after surviving what he described as a terrifying porcelain theme park ride. He complained that the toilet seat in the third-floor men's room was completely unbolted, causing him to violently slide sideways the exact moment he put his weight on it. The man wrote that he almost suffered a catastrophic wipeout into the neighboring stall, demanding they immediately tighten the bolts before an innocent employee breaks a hip just trying to do their morning business. 8. A deeply traumatized concertgoer submitted a frantic email to a music venue after discovering the legendary Buddy toilet. He walked into a single large stall expecting privacy, only to find 2 separate toilets sitting right next to each other with absolutely zero partition. He angrily complained that unless he was supposed to hold hands with a complete stranger while doing his business, this plumbing layout was a psychological crime. Have you ever encountered one of these terrifying twin toilets in the wild? 9. A massive complaint directed at other bathroom goers is the absolute mess left behind by serial hoverers. People who are terrified of germs decide to squat 6 inches above the seat, inevitably missing the target and turning the stall into a biological disaster zone. The irony that drives people crazy is that by trying to avoid a dirty seat, the hoverers are the exact ones creating the mess for the next innocent person. Just wipe it down and sit. 10. Janitors and polite users alike constantly complain about the wet paper towel mountain. Businesses install tiny trash cans, and when they overflow, nobody wants to push the garbage down. Instead, people complain that users treat it like a hazardous game of Jenga, delicately balancing their wet towels on the peak of the garbage pyramid. 11. Let us talk about the sacred, unwritten law of the men's washroom. One furious patron actually submitted a formal complaint to a movie theater manager because a total stranger completely ignored the buffer zone rule. There were 6 perfectly clean, wide-open urinals, and this absolute psychopath chose the exact one right next to him. The complainant stated he felt personally victimized by the sudden shoulder-to-shoulder intimacy while trying to do his business. It is a universal code that you always leave a 1-unit gap unless it is an absolute emergency. Why do some people just thrive on creating maximum awkwardness? 12. One of the most common gripes sent to facility managers is the dreaded premature automatic flush. People complain that the second they lean forward half an inch to grab toilet paper, the sensor panics and triggers a tidal wave. They are furious about getting blasted with a freezing cold mist of public water before they are even finished. It forces users to perform a stressful hover squat just to avoid an unwanted public bidet experience. 13. We all know that multitasking is important in the modern world, but taking a business call on the toilet is pure insanity. A furious airport traveler filed a formal grievance after being subjected to a 30-minute corporate conference call from the stall next door. The complainer noted that the guy was aggressively negotiating a massive software contract while actively fighting for his life on the porcelain throne. The worst part was that the guy on the phone actually asked the stranger washing his hands to keep the splashing noise down. Would you ever dare to FaceTime in a public stall? 14. There is a special place in hell for people who do not understand how basic locks work. A local restaurant manager received a highly detailed, angry email from a customer about a bathroom stalker who bypassed the polite knock entirely. Instead of lightly tapping on the door, the impatient savage outside just violently jiggled the handle like a police tactical team trying to breach the perimeter. The trapped customer complained that the sheer violence of the door rattling sent him into a full-blown panic attack while he was totally defenseless. 15. A bewildered tourist submitted a deeply confused complaint to a gas station manager after discovering their bizarre security system. He rushed into the only stall, only to find the metal latch completely missing. In its place, someone had duct-taped a flimsy piece of shoelace and a bent paperclip to the door. The man furiously stated that he had to hold the string tight with one hand, like he was flying a tiny kite just to keep the door shut. Why do businesses refuse to spend $4 on a basic metal lock? 16. The massive gap at the bottom of American bathroom stalls is a well-documented design flaw, but some people really abuse it. A traumatized mall shopper actually filed a report with Center Security after experiencing the ultimate restroom nightmare. He was sitting peacefully when a random toddler crawled halfway under the partition and just stared at him with dead, unblinking eyes. The complaint stated the mother did absolutely nothing to retrieve her child, leaving the man trapped in a bizarre and highly uncomfortable staring contest. 17. We all appreciate a clean-smelling washroom, but sometimes the cure is way worse than the disease. A furious hotel guest left a brutal 1-star review complaining that the lobby restroom was heavily weaponized with industrial-grade floral spray. The man stated he walked in just to wash his hands and instantly felt like he was suffocating in a thick cloud of aggressive lavender. The complaint highlighted that his eyes were watering so badly he stumbled into the wrong wall, trying to escape the botanical gas chamber. 18. Nothing destroys your soul faster than a poorly placed warning sign. A deeply traumatized guy filed a legendary complaint at a highway gas station after falling victim to the ultimate prank by the universe. He rushed into the only available stall, did his business, and only then noticed the out-of-order sign. The massive problem was that a lazy employee had taped the warning to the inside of the stall door instead of the outside. The customer furiously demanded to know what he was supposed to do with this critical plumbing information after the fact. 19. Automatic soap dispensers are supposed to feel sleek and futuristic, but they often just cause pure, unadulterated rage. A business traveler complained directly to airport management after his expensive suit pants were completely ruined by a rogue dispenser. He waved his hand under the sensor 5 times with zero response. The exact second he pulled his hand away in defeat, the machine suddenly spat a massive glob of pink liquid soap directly onto his dark trousers. He demanded dry cleaning compensation for looking like he had a highly embarrassing accident right before his flight. 20. Accessibility is incredibly important, but sometimes the plumbing installation misses the mark entirely. A furious sports fan submitted a multi-paragraph complaint to a stadium, claiming one specific toilet was mounted so absurdly low to the ground, he felt like a woodland goblin using it. He stated that sitting down required a deep Olympic-level squat, and standing back up completely destroyed his knees for the rest of the football game. He joked that the venue either needed to provide a heavy-duty winch system or reserve that specific stall exclusively for toddlers. 21. A wealthy businessman wrote a scathing review of an upscale nightclub because of the aggressively helpful bathroom attendant. The man complained that trying to dry his hands while a guy in a tuxedo aggressively offered him mints, a splash of cheap cologne, and a single paper towel for a mandatory $5 tip was pure extortion. He stated the intense, unblinking eye contact made him feel like a hostage in a high-stakes negotiation just to wash his hands. Have you ever felt financially blackmailed by a guy holding a towel? 22. A frantic road tripper filed a hilarious but angry complaint at a rural gas station regarding their absolutely absurd bathroom key policy. He desperately needed the restroom, only to be handed a greasy 30-pound tractor tire rim with a tiny brass key welded to the dead center. The furious customer stated he felt like an absolute idiot lugging a heavy piece of automotive machinery through the snack aisle just to use the toilet. He demanded to know who on earth is out here stealing gas station bathroom keys to justify this medieval punishment. 23. Winter commuters have a very specific and very angry complaint regarding the blatant lack of coat hooks on stall doors. They hate being forced into a high-stakes balancing act while holding a heavy jacket, a laptop bag, and a coffee. The absolute fury of having to clamp your expensive bag between your knees or drape a clean coat over a filthy door drives people insane. It is a tiny piece of metal, so why is it always missing? 24. A female diner left a furious, viral internet review for a trendy modern art restaurant because of their deeply unsettling bathroom decor. She complained that positioned exactly at eye level directly across from the toilet was a massive, hyper-realistic painting of a creepy Victorian child pointing straight forward. The deeply disturbed woman stated that trying to pee while a haunted painting silently judged her soul was pure psychological warfare. Why do fancy restaurants insist on making their restrooms feel like an escape room from a horror movie? 25. A furious architect emailed a high-end shopping mall to complain about their incredibly stupid, ultra-modern slanted sink design. He stated that the flat, slope-style basin looked like a sleek piece of modern art, but functioned exactly like a high-pressure water cannon. The exact second he turned on the designer faucet, the water ricocheted off the flat marble and blasted him right in the front of his pants. He furiously complained that he had to walk through the entire busy food court looking like he violently wet himself. 26. A highly embarrassed barista submitted an angry complaint to her local library after falling victim to a highly deceptive stall lock. She rushed into a bathroom stall because the little plastic dial outside clearly displayed a green vacant sign, only to burst in on an elderly woman quietly doing a crossword puzzle. The angry complaint highlighted that the red and green mechanism was installed completely backward, effectively setting up a daily hidden camera prank for every single person who walked through the library doors. 27. a stressed-out college student filed a massive grievance with a local coffee shop over their completely bizarre choice of bathroom acoustics. While the main cafe played soft, relaxing acoustic guitar, the single-occupant restroom blasted aggressively loud, chaotic death metal music. The student complained that he just wanted a quiet moment of peace away from his laptop, but instead felt like he was locked inside a violent mosh pit while trying to use the toilet. He demanded they fix the audio wiring, stating it was the most stressful bathroom break of his entire life. 28. A desperate shopper launched a furious verbal complaint at a big box retail store manager after experiencing the classic phantom janitor situation. The woman stated she ran to the restroom in an absolute emergency, only to find a massive yellow barricade and a caution tape web blocking the entrance. The infuriating part of her complaint was that she stood there doing a panic dance for 20 solid minutes, and absolutely nobody was actually cleaning inside. She demanded to know why they locked down the only bathroom for an invisible ghost crew. 29. A frustrated mechanic wrote an angry letter to a highway rest stop management team regarding their completely impenetrable toilet paper dispensers. He complained that the massive, locked plastic armor housing the rolls only allowed one single, pathetic square to be pulled out at a time before instantly tearing. The man stated he spent 10 agonizing minutes pinching and ripping microscopic pieces of paper like he was performing a delicate brain surgery just to get enough material to survive. Do these cheap businesses honestly think toilet paper is made of solid gold? 30. A highly germophobic teacher filed a massive complaint with a local cinema after realizing a fatal flaw in their bathroom exit design. After spending 5 minutes thoroughly scrubbing her hands with hot water and antibacterial soap, she realized the heavy exit door required a firm grip on a disgusting wet metal handle to pull it open. She furiously stated that forcing people to grab a germ-infested handle completely invalidates the entire hand-washing process. She demanded they install a foot pedal or a push door, calling the current setup a biological trap. 31. Office workers submit countless facilities tickets complaining about the terrifying motion sensor lights. Some genius decided to set the timer for exactly 30 seconds, meaning if you take slightly longer than average, the room plunges into pitch-black darkness. People are furious that they are forced to do a desperate, arm-waving panic dance in the dark just to trigger the sensor and find the toilet paper. Have you ever been trapped in the dark like this? 32. Sometimes technology goes way too far. A furious traveler filed a detailed grievance with an international airport because of a wildly overcomplicated toilet flush mechanism. He complained that he spent 5 solid minutes searching for a handle, a button, or a sensor, only to discover the flush trigger was hidden flat against the wall behind the raised toilet lid. The man stated he felt like an idiot trying to solve a complicated escape room puzzle just to flush his own waste. 33. A highly uncomfortable accountant left a blistering review of a fancy steakhouse based entirely on their terrifying mirror placement. He complained that the interior designer installed massive, floor-to-ceiling reflective glass directly behind the urinal trough. The poor guy stated that he was forced to make awkward eye contact with his own reflection and the backs of 4 other men trying to enjoy their evening. He demanded they frost the glass immediately, calling it a horrific violation of male restroom etiquette. 34. A gym member marched straight to the front desk to file a deeply disturbing complaint about the guy in the stall next to him. It was not a bad smell that set him off, it was the unmistakable sound of aggressive chewing. He furiously complained that a man was loudly eating a crunchy bag of potato chips while actively using the toilet. The horrified gym-goer demanded a lifetime ban for the cruncher, stating that mixing snack time with bathroom time is a crime against humanity. 35. A very angry father demanded a full refund at a family restaurant because of a highly localized weather system inside the men's room. He submitted a formal complaint that a massive industrial air conditioning vent was pointed directly down at the only toilet. The man stated that sitting down felt like entering a freezing Arctic wind tunnel, completely shocking his system and ruining his dining experience. He asked management if they were trying to freeze meat or just torture their paying customers. 36. An introverted graphic designer wrote a desperate online warning about a local transit station bathroom. He complained that while he was sitting quietly, the guy in the next stall over just casually sparked up a conversation about the local sports team. The designer furiously stated that the restroom is a sanctuary of silence, not a neighborhood bar where you chat about the weather through a metal wall. Do you politely answer the bathroom talker, or do you just pretend you suddenly went deaf? 37. A very tall basketball coach submitted a hilarious but angry letter to a country western bar regarding their incredibly literal saloon-style bathroom doors. He complained that the wooden swinging gates only covered the middle section of the stall, leaving his entire head and shoulders completely visible to the entire room. He stated that every time someone walked by, he had to awkwardly nod at them from his porcelain throne. He demanded they install actual doors instead of cheap Hollywood props. 38. Walking into a cloud of cheap cologne is awful, but one grandfather filed a massive health and safety complaint with a shopping mall security team over it. He stated that a group of middle school boys had unleashed so much aggressive aerosol body spray that the air was physically thick and tasted like harsh chemicals. The furious senior citizen complained that he needed a military gas mask just to use the urinal, demanding the mall treat heavy cologne clouds as a legitimate biological weapon. 39. Electronic towel dispensers are usually fine, until a stressed-out chef left a completely unhinged voice message for a supplier regarding their stingy machine. He aggressively complained that waving his hand produced exactly 2 inches of thin paper, followed by a mandatory 10-second lockout period. The man stated he stood there waving like a lunatic for 3 minutes just to get enough paper to dry his palms. He furiously demanded they fix the delay, asking if there was a global paper shortage he was unaware of. 40. A humiliated tech worker filed an urgent human resources complaint about the trendy new restrooms in his corporate office. The company had installed ultra-modern frosted glass stall doors to look sleek, but completely forgot about the bright backlighting behind the toilets. The poor guy complained that the moment he sat down, the intense lights cast a perfect, high-definition shadow puppet of his entire body onto the glass for all his coworkers to see. He demanded immediate action, calling the designer a complete architectural failure. 41. Gym locker rooms are basically biological hazardous waste zones, which makes this next complaint deeply unsettling. A gym member sent a furious email to management demanding they instantly revoke the membership of a guy who casually walked around the wet bathroom tiles completely barefoot. The complainant was absolutely disgusted, stating the barefoot menace was strolling past urinals and damp sinks like he was relaxing on a pristine sandy beach. He demanded immediate action, claiming it was a severe crime against basic hygiene and human decency. 42. A frustrated yoga instructor left a scathing review of a boutique fitness studio regarding their physically impossible toilet paper placement. She complained that the luxury metal dispenser was bolted to the wall completely behind the toilet and roughly 1 inch off the floor. The woman stated that she actually had to perform a highly advanced spinal twist just to reach a single square of paper. She angrily demanded they hire an actual human being to test their bathroom ergonomics instead of a contortionist. 43. We all know airport bathrooms are chaotic, but one exhausted traveler filed a formal grievance with security over a guy monopolizing the sinks. He complained that a man had set up a massive toiletry bag, stripped to his undershirt, and was actively shaving his entire face while aggressively brushing his teeth. The furious traveler stated he just wanted to wash his hands, but felt like he had interrupted a deeply personal morning routine in a private apartment. Would you confront the sink hog or just use hand sanitizer and flee? 44. A corporate lawyer sent a highly litigious email to a courthouse facility manager after falling victim to a rogue sink. He complained that the water pressure was cranked up so high that the exact second he pressed the faucet, it exploded like a commercial fire hose. The man stated the water violently ricocheted out of the shallow basin, completely soaking his expensive suit tie and shirt. He furiously demanded to know if they were trying to help people wash their hands or actively pressure wash their clothing right before trial. 45. Finding trash is normal, but a deeply disturbed fast food customer marched right up to the counter to file a highly specific complaint. He stated that he walked into the only available stall and found an entire perfectly intact rotisserie chicken resting on the back of the toilet tank. The man complained that the sheer absurdity of a fully cooked poultry dinner sitting in a bathroom completely ruined his appetite. He demanded the staff explain why their restroom doubled as a bizarre hidden buffet. 46. A traumatized office employee submitted an urgent maintenance ticket regarding a terrifyingly aggressive plumbing issue on the 5th floor. He complained that the industrial toilet had a highly sensitive motion sensor that triggered a violent, hurricane-level flush while he was still actively sitting on it. The man furiously stated that he received an unprompted, freezing cold splash of public water that ruined his entire morning. He demanded they recalibrate the evil robot toilet before it swallowed someone whole. 47. A stressed retail manager filed a complaint with mall security regarding an absolute menace roaming the food court bathrooms. She stated she was peacefully using the stall when a woman aggressively kicked the door open without warning, completely breaking the plastic latch. The furious complaint highlighted that instead of apologizing and backing away, the intruder just stood there glaring like she was owed an explanation. Have you ever had someone bust down your stall door and act like you were the one in the wrong? 48. A desperate package delivery driver launched a furious verbal assault on a local cafe barista over their deeply insane bathroom code policy. He complained that he was having a bathroom emergency, but the receipt required him to punch a 12-digit numeric sequence into a highly confusing electronic keypad. The man stated he felt like he was trying to hack into a high-security bank vault just to use a toilet. He demanded they change the code to something that did not require a photographic memory. 49. A very shy college student wrote a massive online rant directed at his university stadium over their completely useless urinal partitions. He complained that the facility installed beautiful crystal-clear glass dividers between the fixtures. The guy stated that the sheer glass did absolutely nothing to block the view and somehow managed to frame the awkwardness like an interactive museum exhibit. He furiously demanded they frost the glass, calling the design a massive architectural failure that violated basic male code. 50. We all respect cleaning staff, but one confused shopper left a hilarious complaint card at a big box hardware store about an overly friendly employee. He stated that while he was completely vulnerable in the stall, a janitor started casually mopping under the door and loudly asking him about his weekend plans. The man complained that trying to make polite small talk about lawnmowers while actively using a public toilet is a psychological nightmare. He begged management to implement a strict code of silence during active bathroom cleaning hours. 51. Let us talk about the absolute menace of terrible soap dispenser placement. A furious supermarket shopper filed a major liability complaint after performing a full cartoon banana peel slip right in front of the sinks. The problem was that the automatic liquid soap machine was mounted high on the wall directly over the floor tile instead of over the actual basin. Every single person who missed the sensor contributed to a highly toxic, incredibly slippery puddle of pink slime. The man angrily demanded they hire an actual plumber before an innocent customer slides all the way into the parking lot. 52. Trying to wash up after a messy meal should be a private affair, but modern architecture completely disagrees. A highly stressed guy on a first date left a blistering review for a trendy fusion restaurant because their communal hand-washing trough was located right in the middle of the dining room. He complained that aggressively scrubbing barbecue sauce off his face while 4 different tables silently watched him felt like a bizarre public performance art piece. He furiously asked why he had to perform his personal hygiene routine on a literal stage. Would you ever go back to a restaurant that puts you on display like that? 53. Dive bar bathrooms are already questionable, but their ancient wall-mounted vending machines are pure theft. A frustrated patron submitted a hilariously angry email to a local tavern manager after losing 4 quarters to a rusty metal box from the 1980s. He was just trying to buy a simple breath mint, but the machine aggressively jammed, made a loud grinding noise, and dispensed a tiny plastic egg containing a completely fossilized piece of gum. The guy complained that the machine was basically a historical artifact and demanded his $1 refund for the psychological damage. 54. The doorless zigzag entrance is supposed to be a clever way to keep public bathrooms clean, but it can backfire horribly. A deeply traumatized father at a family bowling alley filed an emergency complaint when he discovered a fatal geometric flaw. He was standing at the urinal when he looked up and realized a strategically placed decorative mirror in the hallway gave the entire pizza counter a crystal-clear view of his back. He furiously stated that the architect accidentally created a high-definition periscope that violated the privacy of every single man in the building. 55. High-end hotels constantly try to reinvent the wheel, but sometimes they just completely ruin basic human ergonomics. A baffled business traveler wrote a massive, highly viral rant after spending a weekend at a luxury boutique hotel that featured completely square toilet seats. He complained that trying to comfortably sit on a piece of sharp, rigid modern art felt like being punished by a geometry teacher. The man stated that the human body is simply not built for right angles, furiously demanding to know why wealthy designers refuse to accept the perfection of the classic oval. Seriously, who thought sharp corners on a toilet was a good idea? Surviving a public restroom in America is basically an extreme sport. From square toilets to unhinged stall neighbors, the ceramic nightmare is totally real. Now, I want your absolute worst stories. What is the most terrifying, completely bizarre, or wildly inappropriate thing you have ever experienced in a public bathroom? Name and shame the worst locations down in the comments right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more crazy facts.